Welcome to In Recovery, Shadowboxing with Life. I am Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services, Community College of Philadelphia. The great irony of existence is that what makes life worth living comes from our dark side. It comes from everything that makes us suffer and ultimately heal. As we struggle with life, we're forced to live more deeply and more fully. Many great stories illuminate the shadow side of life. Great leaders understand this, and this understanding makes them humble and effective human beings. Today, my very special shadow boxer is Michael Luna. So, Michael Luna I've known for about, I guess, the 4.5 years now.
Sure.
And when you first came to the college, you were one of the first people in the recovery program that we started, the collegiate recovery. So I wanted to have a time to talk with you about your struggle and what's happened to you over the years, how you got here and those kinds of things.
Well, I thank you for the opportunity to express my great gratitude towards recovery and what recovery means to me. As a child, I was raised in a single-parent household in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I was born in Atlantic City. And as far as I can remember, searching for purpose as a child, I was placed on medication. And that medication took me to a place of questioning a lot of things as a child. And not really understanding where I was mentally as a teenager. The system showed me where I could be, and I was actually incarcerated in and out of juvenile facilities as a child. Great student, enjoyed school, but everything else around it just led me to wanting to find trouble, and I was a problem child. So the medication kind of I didn't understand it. I was forced to take it by my mom. My mom made me take the...
Was it to control your behavior, I guess?
I think Depakote. I was taking Depakote.
Oh, okay.
And it was some other medication as well, but I kind of forget over the years of drinking and drugging what specific medication it was. But it is a dependency of medication. As a child and a teenager, it took me to...
So what were you, like 8 or 9 when they put you on the medication?
As I can remember, about 9 years old, yeah.
So your drugs have been in your life for quite a while.
Yeah, since I can understand.
So you move on and you're in your adolescence, and how'd you wind up in the position that you got into before you wound up in recovery?
Well, I'm a Scorpio, so my personality is very... over-demanding. I want to be seen, and not to have that structure as a child of the redirection of what structure should be, accountability should be. I had to learn a lot of things on my own. I have a mother who was adopted and still suffers from the trauma that she faced as a child that she never addressed. So as the story continually goes around in the circle, it's like the things that she never faced or addressed was pushed on me as at an early age. Now that I am 4 years sober, looking back, wanting answers to the questions that I needed and she never gave me.
Oh.
So as a child, different men in and out the house, since I can remember, it's kind of like, who are these guys?
Mm-hmm.
Who is this? And thinking that she was looking for love in all the wrong places, instead of the only family she had, which is her 3 children. I'm the oldest of 3. Kind of took me down a place to look for love in different ways as well.
Mm-hmm.
And as a teenager, getting in trouble was
normal.
Yeah. It was acceptable. Being the problem in high school, what's acceptable. And I've experienced a lot as a teenager that I'm addressing now. I experienced a lot as a child that I'm addressing now with my sobriety. It's coming into fruition. So I was incarcerated at the age of 16. I did a year and a half.
What were you incarcerated for?
For drugs.
For drugs? Were you selling?
Yeah, I was selling drugs. Got caught up and did a year and a half in a juvenile facility in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And
what was it like in that facility, the youth facility?
Just being told what to do.
Oh, okay.
It was very scary because my mother played the victim role all her life and still does. And that's kind of where it took me to play the victim role, to manipulate any and every situation to get what I needed out of the situation after I did what I did. And I have the gift for gab, so me talking my way out of situations to manipulate the situation in a whole was normal. It's like, you know, I can actually, one of the programs that I was in actually got kicked out for smoking on the roof, climbed out the window to smoke a cigarette on the roof, which I wasn't supposed to, and actually wrote a 2-page letter to the director of the program, and she actually let me back in. So that just goes to show how manipulation tactic to get what I wanted was superior. But when I came home from my juvenile bed, I did a year and a half, I was in the mix with a woman. I was in a relation with a woman who was writing me letters when I was locked up. It was my high school sweetheart, and I came home to think that I was in a relationship with her because she was in a relationship with me before I got incarcerated, to find out after she's 4 months pregnant that she's married and had twin children while I was incarcerated.
Oh.
So I'm 18, dealing with the fact that I have a pregnant woman who is calling the child my child, which I have no doubt in my mind that the child wasn't my child. But to know that she had 2 children behind me and got married Islamically to a guy who she was so-called with at the time, it raised a red flag in my mind to say, yeah, I need to go through the system to figure out if this child is mine. And when I did figure out the child was mine, I didn't really have no support because I was, you know, had to only have a mother for support, for family support. That the system, that was my introduction to what adult reality stems and deals with. So I was placed on child support, working in a casino as a maid. I was cleaning rooms, and placed on child support, was paying my child support payments. I had my child for the first 2 years by himself. I had him by myself. I was taking care of him.
Were you doing drugs throughout this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was drinking a lot of alcohol, which is scary to know that, you know, I had to face that by myself. Make a long story short, I was working at the Trump Taj Mahal and actually got laid off from the Trump Taj Mahal, which I could no longer pay my child support payments. I had actually had a warrant for child support, which I fled to Philadelphia.
Oh, okay.
I came here seeking independence, and I transitioned from my mother's house, which I felt I wasn't welcome at, and it was a real hard transition, to a homeless shelter. And when I found a homeless shelter, I actually had a warrant, so it was not really that much that I thought I could do with a driver's license or, you know, finding stability. My drug and alcohol addiction got very bad, very bad. And
so at the height of it, what were you doing?
I was selling things on the street to provide for my habit. I was actually a counterfeit DVD salesman.
Yeah.
And I found a way to make money.
I think I knew you then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you were selling in the subways.
Yeah.
If I remember when I first met you.
Yeah.
And you were acting like you were an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Which it was an entrepreneurial
you were, in
spirit.
a sense.
You know,
yeah,
I was giving people popcorn with my movies.
Right.
So, I mean, I made the people feel good. However, it was to really, it was to really fuel and
Yeah.
pay for my drugs and my alcohol.
You know, I almost got the impression when I first met you, and you were, you know, and even though I haven't said this that often to you, I did believe you were not very truthful with me at the time.
Sure.
But what happened? Something happened to you, and you turned.
Sure.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that, maybe? Because I know you were heavy into your addiction. You were selling stuff on the subway and on the buses, if I'm not mistaken. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was
just the subway.
Yeah, the subway.
Trains,
yeah, that's right.
That turnaround from me being heavily addicted to prescription medication, opioids.
Opioids?
I was taking Percocets heavily. I actually got stabbed in the mix of my addiction, and the doctor gave me Percs, and from that point on, then Percocets, 1 or 2 pills turned to 90, 120 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
To identify of being fed up and tired of the same insanity over and over again, I actually went to area health hospital and told them if they don't help me, I'm gonna kill myself. And they sent me to Friends Hospital, which Friends, I went to Kirkbride. From Kirkbride, I went to Self-Help, which is
These are all rehab kind of treatment facilities.
Which is the best thing that ever happened to me. From Self-Help, I found a community college of Philadelphia, where now I am pursuing an associate's degree with plans on receiving a bachelor's, master's, and a PhD in child psychology. So the turnaround was when I realized that what I was doing was either going to kill me or I was going to kill someone else. And to find college, gravitating towards what made sense in the retrospect of taking a major that is in complete connection with my drug and alcohol addiction and the trauma that I've faced as a child and even some of my teenage years. I know I had to do something different. And just sticking with...
Did you know you had to do something different? For what reason? You just were just fed up? I know in my reality, and when I started, my recovery was partly based on the fact that I couldn't continue doing this any longer because I knew it was going to totally destroy me. And I knew I was going to go downhill. And I was going to lose everything that I had built up by then. In your case, you were trying to find just a survival mode, it sounded like, to go forward, right?
To go forward and find something that works.
Yeah.
Because I knew what I was doing wasn't working. But I knew that the peak of my recovery, even now, is because I've always had greatness in me. I've always had the understanding to be the best, but when things didn't work out, I needed to blame somebody or something for that.
Yeah.
And the blame shift from me not having a father, from me blaming my mother, to now me blaming myself because I'm an adult, and to know that God gave me willpower to make decisions. And that decision that decision I made to walk inside that hospital was a great leap of faith. And from that point on, that I just decided to identify as having that issue, everything started to become clearer as more and more that I got sober. So to know that college validates my sobriety, but also know that education validates my existence, that's the peak right there.
Yeah.
Is that now I have the necessary tools to stay sober, to be sober, and it validates everything that I have pushed forward for.
How did that validation occur? I mean, I do, you know, let me just, I kind of knows part of your answer. What I'm just saying is that I know that you went through the recovery leadership and you've been in a lot of the courses that really deal with an understanding of denial and rejection and projection and acting out behaviors, and somehow that connected with you.
Yeah. By learning accountability and forgiveness, by me saying that I forgive my mother, by me saying I forgive my father, and for me to be accountable for my decisions now gives me so much more purpose to not want to pick up a drug or a drink, because I know that I'm in position to receive the blessings that God shows me is real with sobriety.
Oh, great. So tell me what your future looks like now, because we're kind of we'll kind of come a little bit to the end of this,
Sure.
and I'd like to know where you see yourself going.
Sure. I have a 10-year-old son
Okay.
who gives me great motivation to keep going and learning more how I can better assist the world. I want to become a child psychologist because all of what my experiences led me to deal with today allows me to feel for the people who don't have a choice. And children deserve a great chance. And I know where my childhood trauma led me to go.
Mm-hmm.
Most people who don't address their childhood trauma don't get through this thing called life.
Yeah.
And God gave me a second chance to get through it with education. And now that I'm getting through it, the goal is to allow children to understand that process. And if I can teach children accountability and forgiveness at an early age, I think we could kind of bypass the chemical dependency.
Mm-hmm.
And we can encourage the next group of doctors or psychologists or drug and alcohol counselors to help humanity get through that insanity,
Well, Mike, knowing you for the last few years, that you're going to be a very successful person. You found the space to operate in, and I think you're going to get to where you want to go. And I look forward to seeing your future.
Thank you.
Okay. You have been watching In Recovery, Shadowboxing with Life on CCP TV, the award-winning educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. I want to thank my guest, Mike Luna, for sharing his story today. I want to thank you, the viewers, for watching. I am Dr. Pascal Scoles, Professor of Behavioral Health and Human Services at Community College of Philadelphia. See you next time.